what makes a game difficult? In particular, what makes a massively multiplayer online title more hardcore than any of the rest? Is it a hard game if there's a long grind to getting good? Does full loot PvP make a game more challenging? Or how about a game that just simply doesn't hold your hand and refuses to give you a tutorial? In today's video, I found a game that is by far one of the most difficult and hardcore MMOs I've ever played. And for many good reasons. It has Perma Death. It's an open world sandbox with survival elements and always on PvP. And worse still, the overland is savage. I am of course exploring another niche MMO, and today's one is Haven Hearth. Released back in 2015, it is still considered to be in a alpha status. However, it will soon be released on Steam on the 1st of November this year, which left me no choice but to jump in early and see what this game is all about. So, if you enjoy videos about MMOs that no one's ever heard of and that no one else plays, then maybe, just maybe, you'll also enjoy my forever unpopular YouTube channel, where I do video essays about games that you've never heard of. Like and subscribe? If you ever wanted to see what it'd look like if Ultima Online and Stardew Valley had a baby, then stick around. So the intro out the way, let's dive into Haven Hearth. So first things first, this MMORPG is free to play with an optional sub. This is how I feel when a subscription is optional. The sub does give you some conveniences over the free to play account, but I'm saving up for a new PC, so I opted to go the free route.
Like, if you're a broke boy, just say so.
Whilst we're on the subject of me needing a new PC and some extra cash, thank you to today's sponsor, Filmora. Filmora is your one-stop shop for video editing. It's really easy to use and beginner-friendly. It includes a built-in video capture, so you can import your clips directly into the editor. It also comes with a boatload of editing tools, as well as some professional-looking stock media. You can even do some more fine-tuning with tools such as the speed ramping. And the list goes on, with features such as motion tracking, video effects, and even a built-in AI music generator, where you can input numerous tags so you can create that perfect sound. And that's not the only AI tool you can utilize.
They even have AI voice enhancement, AI sound effects, and AI text to speech.
Whether you're new to editing or someone who's just starting out, I would highly recommend that you go check out Filmora. So make sure to try out Wondershare Filmora version 14 today using the link in my description. Now back to the video. It's also worth mentioning this game uses Java, so it's pretty straightforward to install and even a potato can run it. But anyway, the game was downloaded and I was ready to start. Now, I actually streamed my first day, but my video capture didn't capture the important parts. So here's a basic overview of the character creator. Straight away, you'll notice that I am a glowy, shiny purple ball. But don't worry, I do gain a body eventually. You have the choice of being male or female, and you decide this by choosing the left path or the right path.
Fucking pronouns!
And once you have selected that, you can then change your appearance in the reflection pool. Although quite basic, it seems more in depth than New World somehow. Anyway, on my first go, I walked right past this pool, so I ended up looking like this. After you're done with the reflection pool, you then bump into a wizard who stood next to a campfire. He asks for your name and then kindly tells you to go kill yourself. Well, burn in the campfire, as all the cool kids say. So, I did exactly that. So I started out naked as the day I was born, but with less placenta covering my body. Honestly, I've woken up in worse situations after a night out drinking. The first thing that hits you is the graphics. Anyone who loves RuneScape will look at this and think it's in 4K. Naked, alone, and somewhat afraid, I decided to wander around and collect some sticks, bark, rocks, you know, all the usual survival stuff. Because it is a sandbox, it's not like there's a main story questline to follow, but what you can do is buy skills, which will then give you quests to go and complete. And that's pretty much it for the tutorial. After this, there's no more hand-holding. You have to figure out a lot of stuff for yourself, or you can be brave like me and ask questions in area chat. Hello, all. What is a birch tree? When it comes to crafting in this game, it's all about discovering new materials, and to do that, you literally have to go around, pick everything up, and hopefully it will unlock a new recipe. What does a birch tree look like? I'm colorblind. Has white bark. I played a lot of Minecraft, so I know exactly what a birch tree looks like, but for whatever reason, they seem to be more scarce than the other trees. I want to click that link so badly, but what if it has naked ladies? I don't think they're going to help me anymore. Oh, that's a birch tree, look! I eventually found the birch tree, and when you right click on it, there's an option to collect bark, which is what I needed to craft a cup essentially. I love the fact that the level up noise is a blatant Zelda ripoff, but do you know what? It's nostalgic, so I don't blame them. I was surprised to see other players talking so much in this game, so I kind of joined in. Yeah, I'm just having fun. Just having a little bit of fun. I mean, I'm easily amused. What do you expect from a guy who pretends to be a talking dog? I carried on foraging whilst talking in area chat. My wife left me. I don't know, man. Like I said, easily amused. Shut the fuck up, cock. Imagine calling your child skull fucker Mark I. Yeah, it's rough. It has to be said, when a game has such a small population, but people actually talk and have banter with each other, it makes me want to play a game even more. So, although the chat might have been a bit off for some people, personally, I really enjoyed it, and do you know what? It's what probably made me play the game a lot more than what I probably would have done. I carried on adventuring and trying to get past the basic tutorial, and whilst on my travels, I actually bumped into a man-made complex, I want to call it, which showed me one thing. There is still life in this game, and boy, there's a lot of stuff you can build. But apparently I was having too much fun, and I was about to experience how hardcore this game actually is. Run. Oh shit, it's a bear! Well, fuck me. Fuck me. Run, you stupid little man! Oh, I'm dead. Now, luckily for me, I wasn't actually dead, just severely maimed. Why is it always a bear? Every game I play, it's always a bear that kills me. So you actually have like 2 health bars, the red health bar, which is your main health, and if that goes all the way down, you become unconscious. And then you have your yellow health bar, where if that goes all the way down, you die. More on that a little bit later on. Before coming around, you do have the option to A, travel back to your hearth fire, B, log out, or C, remain in place and potentially die. So I went back to my hearth fire and carried on exploring again with practically no health. It's also worth noting that if another player comes across your unconscious or dead body, they can loot your items. Speaking of which, I did manage to find another player who looked as homeless as me. In fact, he didn't seem to have a home, he had a little campsite, and I might have robbed him a little bit. Okay, I might have robbed him a lot. But listen, as Bear Grylls famously says, improvise, adapt, drink some piss, steal some items. But luckily for him, I hadn't unlocked my PvP skill yet, so he was safe tucked away in bed. And I also hadn't unlocked the ability to thieve stuff, so any items of actual value were tucked away in his lean-to. If I wanted to be able to do any of this, I'd have to level up more and learn a lot more skills, which is a whole subject in itself. Welcome to one of the most complex skill trees you've ever seen. Each skill requires learning points for you to unlock them, and they vary in price. For instance, to have the ability to commit murder, you need 100,000 learning points. However, to build a boat, it's only 1,500. Learning points are acquired by interacting with new items, and also by studying certain objects. You have base ability stats which can be improved by eating different types of food. And you have more generalized abilities which you can also improve with learning points. And all of this you kind of have to discover for yourself. I was at a point where I felt like I understood the core features of the game, and it became apparently obvious that I needed to settle down and build myself a little homestead. So after a bit of exploring, I found a place by some water, and I felt like this would be the perfect place to call home. And it was at this point the game truly started to open up, and I'll find out how hardcore Haven Hearth truly is. After 3 hours of playtime, this is what I had to show for my efforts. Which I know doesn't look like much, but are still in the early game stages. In regards to armor and weapons, I had crafted a stone axe and some wooden clogs. An hour further later, and I looked no better than the guy I robbed earlier, although I did have this jazzy new hat.
I think it's kind of hideous. Is it velvet?
Too jazzy?
I was pretty tired at this point, so I went to bed in-game and in real life, and what I woke up to the next day was a bit of a surprise. And as you can see, the surprise was that I was still alive, and everything I owned was still intact. Was this down to the fact that I had chosen such a hidden away location to sleep? Probably not. Was it down to the fact that people left me alone because I'm a noob and they felt sorry for me? Probably not that either. In fact, it's more likely down to the player numbers for this title. On their main homepage, they're not shy about showing the player numbers, and on average, every day I'd been playing this game, it had kind of floated around 60 players. Although an unofficial source had told me that when the servers do wipe, which has happened once a year roughly, the player numbers can shoot up to over 1,000. So yeah, I could have been lucky, or it could just be the fact that the game's pretty dead. Either way, all I know is that I want to punch this deer in the face. What you're witnessing here is peak combat. Obviously I'm joking, I'm still just a noob and I haven't learned any moves yet. So what I'm essentially doing is trying to punch a deer to death. But I didn't die, I just got knocked unconscious. Again. As time went on, I found myself getting more and more adventurous, to the point where I started to go further out into the world, which also had its own dangers. You see that guy right there? That's me. I'm being chased by bees, wasps, flies. I'm not sure what these are. They're just annoying and they do hurt you. You do have the ability to sprint, but at this point I was conserving my energy, because in order to sprint it uses stamina, which is the blue bar at the top, and you refill that by drinking water, which I didn't have much of. Things then went to bad to worse because a wild warthog started chasing me, and this is probably when I should have sprinted. But I was trying to be too clever for my own good. I don't know why, but the flies and the pig, they left me on 1 HP. So I didn't die, but once again, I was very close to being perma dead. Curiosity once again got the better of me, and I went and investigated a ant's nest. I say investigated, I mean I got knocked out. You might be wondering, why don't I just heal myself before going out and exploring? Well, the simple answer is, I didn't know how. Eating food didn't exactly increase my health, and I didn't have any medicine that I could use. I have to say, the game has truly tested me at this point. It just seemed like I couldn't really progress any further because everything wanted to kill me. And as stereotypical as this sounds, especially being a dog, whilst chasing a squirrel, yes, I know the irony here, I ran into some bother. That's right, those goddamn flies killed me. Not knocked me out, no, they game ended me. This was indeed my very first death in Haven and Hearth. And what exactly does death mean in this game? Well, it means you start again. There is, however, a slight caveat. You can actually inherit your land that you had before, so you don't lose out on everything that you built, and you will spawn exactly where your last house was. However, you will lose everything that you previously learned, so you have to go back and reskill again. But, once again, another caveat, if you can retrieve your dead body and bury it, then you will get some XP back. Which, on paper, sounds easy enough. It's just the fact that I had no items, I was naked, and I basically had to run through everything that just killed me. So I decided to give up and try again a bit later on. In fact, I was just tired, so I went to bed and I kind of forgot about my dead body. What you just witnessed there was me being viciously attacked whilst trying to set up my screen capture.
What the fuck?
So naturally, I asked, "Friends?" ? Which is enough to make the naked man turn around and charge straight for me. And to which he replied, "Sorry, I don't play." And through my charms, my trickery, my level 100 speech, I managed to spark up a conversation. The naked man I was speaking to was in fact a alt account by the name of Gabriel. They were in fact from Brazil and actually owned the province that I was standing in. And once again, here I was on a hardcore PvP MMO, having quite a pleasant experience with someone even offering to help me out. They then went on to give me some great advice around how to discover new items, what abilities I should unlock, where I should put my points, and they even gave me information in regards to the server wipes and what to expect with the Steam release. And they seemed really hyped for the actual server refresh, stating that in the past there's at least 1.5k players on at any given time. And furthermore, you can actually get custom clients to play the game on, as opposed to the standard JavaScript, which allowed you to customize the UI a lot more and even tweak the camera. But before long, Gabriel had to go, and before they did, they actually set me up with a bucket and just like a few tidbits about the game. So a big shout out to Gabriel for showing me some stuff which honestly the game just didn't explain, and once again just goes to show being social in an MMO does pay off. I felt like if I was going to give this game a fair go and be successful in the most hardcore MMO ever created, then I needed to create a house and have some land to call my own. So with that in mind, I spent the next couple of days putting quite a few hours into Haven Hearth. And here's how it went. So the first thing I did was I bought a bunch of skills, because if I'm going to build a house, I would first need to unlock the ability to craft one. After putting a lot more points into exploration, I went out and explored some new biomes in hope of finding some new materials to craft with. This was working really well up until one particular point.
Snag. I'm a snag.
So apparently, and I didn't know this till playing this game, but snakes are apparently long distance runners who just never give up.
You right out! That mother back there is not real!
Sadly though, the snake was very real, very cruel, very relentless, and yeah, it fucked my shit up. But do you know what else fucked my shit up? Pretty much everything. I was either the most unluckiest player in the world, or everything was just out to get me. Maybe I've had a very sheltered life here in England, but even animals I didn't think would attack me did. I mean, who knew mooses were lethal? And before anyone says it, Canadians aren't real people. But as you can see here, I added another death to my tally. I was now on my third character. And just 2 minutes in, I would feel the wrath of the same moose.
When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
I'm not against difficult overland, in fact I quite enjoyed it. But come on man, 2 snakes? 2? I like to think I have a bit of experience and skill when it comes to MMOs and survival games, and yet I found this to be very testing, and even the simplest task of just trying to run away from a fight, it was just near impossible. Once those enemies locked onto you, it was very hard to get away. But the moment that really tilted me was when I tried to take the fight to the enemy, that enemy being a swan. And I thought I could probably kill it in one, which is where I went wrong. And while I was trying to swap my weapons around so I could fight back, I ran into some difficulty. And essentially, it killed me. Death by a fucking swan. Can you get any more British than that? But despite these setbacks, I was still determined to make my homestead. I'm not ashamed to say, but in order to make my homestead, I went full rat mode. If a camp had been abandoned, well, I picked it clean. And in doing so, I got access to some vital resources. I wasn't completely cold-hearted though, because I did remember to bury my previous bodies, which gave me a very nice XP boost. I encountered this random thing in the forest.
What the hell is even that?
And given my previous experience with all creatures great and small, I got the fuck out of Dodge. Back on the homestead, I was planting crops. I had learnt more advanced woodworking techniques. I started to level the land and made some significant technological advancements. But most importantly, I now owned the land, which meant I could finally build my little homestead. So after a couple of days and a couple of deaths, I'd finally done the bare minimum to say that I'd tried out Haven Hearth. But the funny thing is, I wasn't done yet. For some reason, I was captivated by this game, and I was intrigued to see how far I could actually get. So I actually carried on playing it on and off for the next 2 weeks. And this is what my homestead looks like now. I mean, this is obviously the interior, but the outside, I definitely made a lot more progress. But even then, it was still a very slow grind. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's an unpleasant grind. It's just one that won't appeal to everyone. So now that I can officially say I've done more than enough hours to claim a first impression, I think it's only fair that I talk about the pros and cons when it comes to playing Haven Hearth. So without any further delay, let's talk about some of the pros of Haven Hearth. So first on the list is just how in-depth this game actually is, especially when you consider it was made by 2 people. I really like the learning point system. The fact that you have items that you craft just so you can gain more experience is a cool little feature. Plus it adds to the social aspects of this game because you constantly see people in area chat asking the best way to do things, sharing their knowledge of the game. From my experience of playing games, there's not many out there that try to take on the survival genre as well as the MMO RPG. Just recently I played Wurm Online, which I felt did a good job. But this game, I feel like it's on the same level, if not slightly better. And I think it's because it probably has a bit more mass appeal. And what I mean by that is that anyone who's played Runescape will look at this and think, this might be the game for me. Whereas Wurm Online, it just felt a bit too complex with certain systems. Whereas Haven Hearth, in regards to the game's mechanics, it's quite complex. However, when it comes to user interface, I think it's dumbed down just enough that it won't scare people away. And although I played solo, I would have loved to play this with a group of friends, or just simply when the server was busier, you know, maybe like the 1st of November. Which in itself is a positive. It's free to play, and it's a Steam game. I really hope this game is popular because I think it deserves it. And I don't know why, but I find this game super addictive. Yes, I know I haven't got like 1,000 hours into the game yet, but I do find myself just randomly opening it up, seeing how I'm doing, and just doing little tasks and jobs, and then clicking off and carrying on with my day. It's like MMO crack. Personally, I like it when a game is challenging. I hate it when there's too much cuddling and hand holding, And it's like, oh, are you okay? Are you sure you know what you're doing now? Do you need more advice? Do you need more help? I just want to go and play it and figure stuff out myself. And Haven Hearth 100% lets you do that, which won't necessarily appeal to everyone. So what are the cons, you might be wondering? Well, there's a few. I personally don't mind the graphics, and I know there's a lot of people out there who will agree with me, but in this day and age with stuff like UE5, the latest version of CryEngine, and God knows what else is out there, it feels a bit dated to be using Java, and the game was created in 2015, and you know, UE4 and stuff like that was about, and even stuff like the Unity engine would have worked really well with this sort of concept. But my main concern is that this game is aiming to have a lot of people playing it whilst running on Java. And to me that just sounds batshit crazy. It was established a long time ago that C++ has always been better than Java. Now something that will always put people off is open world PvP. And sadly, in my time playing this game, I didn't actually get to experience it. The most I saw was someone's base that had been sieged. But as to actually going around murdering people, well, because I was a noob, I wasn't able to do so, but that also meant I was left at the mercy of any veteran players. And I remember seeing a comment in the area chat about the 1st November launch. In particular, it will be a massacre of the spruce hats, obviously referring to the new players who have the stupid green hat on, which is exactly why I changed my stupid green hat, because as soon as I read that, I didn't want to become a target. But overall, I think it probably takes a lot of knowledge to be able to PvP in this game, which in itself might deter people from actually wanting to take part in it. Something I really didn't like was the fact that a lot of the crafting was time gated. For example, the process of making leather. First of all, you got to kill the animal and then dry out its skin, which in itself will take a few hours. And then after that, you have to dunk it in the tanning pot thing, and that will take even more hours, which will then eventually turn to leather, which will open up more recipes for me to go away and craft. But because it takes so long to do and certain items take a lot of resources to make, it just felt like a lot of the time I was setting stuff up to go and be crafted and then logging out once it was in motion, and then waiting a day or two to log back in to see if my gear had been crafted yet, which felt more like a mobile phone gacha game than it did a MMO survival. Perma Death is a brutal concept, and some people really love the idea and others despise it. Just look at hardcore classic WoW. And I think the true issue here is that you're basically doubling down by having open world PvP and permadeath. And I know technically it's not full on permadeath, because you can recover your body, you can spawn back at your base, and even recover some of your XP, but it's still quite a hardcore and brutal concept. I think the combat is super harsh for no particular reason. Like, honestly, why am I dying to a swan? I live in England, I'm sort of an expert on this. I know I wouldn't die to a swan in real life, so why in a video game is a swan suddenly overpowered? And I've looked at other videos and other forum posts, and people basically say just don't bother trying to fight anything until you start making weapons, which is fair enough, but I still feel like there should be some level of introduction to combat at a very early stage. Overall though, I've had a very positive experience playing this game. The only downside is there's just simply not enough players, but I think that will soon get rectified once the 1st of November drops and it's on Steam. So to anyone who enjoys playing Runescape or even games such as Tibia or Wurm Online, I think you would get a genuine kick out of playing this. But what do you guys think? Is this the most hardcore MMO you've ever seen, or is there something worse out there? If you do think of anything, let me know in the comment section below. I mean, after all, it's how I found this game. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video here. And as always, if you've liked what you've seen, leave a like. If you want to see more of my content, maybe subscribe. I mean, you're 30 minutes in, you might as well anyway. And I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen for you now, which you might enjoy. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. But bye for now.